I'm Dr. Heather Moore, owner of Total Performance Physical Therapy. Tonight we're going to go over why pocket. So interestingly, they can no longer fasten their bra in the back. And one of the number one is they can no longer reach into their back pocket to get their wallet. So gender specific reasons, a lot of times once it has gone to the point where you can no longer fasten your bra in the back or you can no longer reach into your back pocket, it means that's just a very complex motion, both of these. So it's the most limiting, but it's not the only reason or the only. So one of the first things that your shoulder. So a lot of times what will happen is so many of us are slumped forward all the time going to put on your bra and you're doing this, you're going to get a pinching. Even doing this, and I have a little, it really pinches. So what happens is you wind up pinching a muscle that may or may not be already inflamed. So if you were to roll your shoulders up, back, and drop them down, I'm not going to say this is going to 100% clear it up, but this is actually going to allow the space that's needed. If you're like this and you're trying to, unhook your bra, or you're trying to reach up, grab something, a lot of times people say that's a really hard thing for me to do. Same thing. And this shoulder being in this position is the reason that you're going to get that pinching. Is the reason that you're really going to get. The first thing you want to do is if you have that issue, you want to see how your posture is. And a lot of times with that type of problem where you're having trouble reaching into the back, like you'll do this also, which you'll start to shrug your shoulder. So now you're not only here, but you're doing this. Now it may, sometimes doing this actually gives you more range, but it could. So when you move back and you take your arm back, just doing that, and you're not lifting this. This is a really great test that you can do to see where there is problems with your shoulder and if you're, if you need to seek treatment. So drop them down and you want to reach your arm behind your back, all right? You want to see if you can reach your shoulder. Yes, your hand will come right up. That will be not a problem. But what happens is if you roll your shoulders up, back, and drop them down, put your hand on your back so your palm is shoulder, or lift your hand off your back. A lot of people are unable to do this. That is a sign that you need treatment. That is a sign that you have a problem with one of the muscles of your rotator cuff, and we need to treat that. That's not going to go away on its own. There's nothing I can tell you to do at home with my rotator cuff going back there. Now, if you are able to lift it off and it fires right back, nice and gently, okay, and you're not leaning forward to do so. If this one of the muscles of your rotator cuff is clear and it's not that issue, okay? But a lot of times when you have problems reaching back, you're not going to be able to either move your hand away from your back. What else? Your shoulder, and you go to rotate in, you rotate your arm inward when you go back to get your something. What happens is you put that muscle is when you start to turn that arm in, okay? So as you turn your arm in, there's a little space here, and if you have an inflamed muscle, you're going to feel a lot of pain as you rotate back because of the fact that instead of the muscle being this big and allowing that arm to rotate freely with no pain, your muscle is now this thick, okay? And you really have a hard time bringing it back because you can't, that muscle's getting pinched as the bone moves, as you turn your arm. So again, if you're doing this, okay, and you're getting pain and you're getting that pinching feeling and you're not able to do it, there's a sign that you actually have what we call impingement, and that's actually tearing part of your rotator cuff. So every time you hear of somebody that says, you know what, I just put a key in the door and I went to take it out and boom, I couldn't lift my arm anymore, or a lot of these more mundane stories you hear about rotator cuff, most rotator cuff tears are not traumatic. They are not, oh, I went to lift 100 pounds off the floor and I ripped my rotator cuff. Most of it is, I closed the door and I heard a pop. I took my key out of the door. I just reached overhead. I went to put on a jacket. What happens is every time you do this and you get pain, you're actually sawing a little bit of the rotator cuff. A lot of people have sharp edges underneath this bone. It's just what happens over time. And what happens is as you rotate your arm, you wind up sawing this muscle until one day you're on the last little bit and you go and you pull that key out, or you reach overhead, or you turn your steering wheel and pop. And now all of a sudden you can't lift your arm. So understand that a rotator cuff tear does not come most of the time out of anything that's significantly traumatic. It's not a car accident, it's not lifting unbelievably heavy weight. It's just doing activities like this when they're painful. Now, a lot of women I know who have shoulder pain will fasten their bra in front, turn around and put that bra back on. Or the men will start to have their wallets in their front pockets because they can no longer reach. That is not a solution. That is asking for trouble, okay? That's delaying a rotator cuff tear, because if you are unable to fasten your bra or you're not able to reach into your back pockets, that's a significant sign of something wrong. And just altering your lifestyle to make that pain be there or allow that pain to continue is only going to allow that rotator cuff to become more and more torn. So what you want to do is, in the case that you have those problems, you really do need to seek treatment. There's a couple things that you can do at home, like you could start to ice, and you do want to watch your posture. The more you're like this, the more that muscle gets pinched, the more likely you are to tear that cuff. So posture and ice are the two kind of things you can do right away. It's not going to solve the problem. Once you're unable to do these motions, they're very far gone. And especially if you're doing something and you do this test and it tests positive, meaning you can't lift it off your back, there's a serious problem going on and you do need to treat it.